can see life all around us, and we talk about life often. It is even in many books. But do we really understand what life is?
As a group, we decided the best way to start this project would be a list of words that can best describe life. The list we created was much too big to describe in one presentation, so we shortened the list down to 7 attributes of life. These attributes are movement, response, metabolism, organization, growth, homeostasis, and reproduction. The first on the list is movement. Movement is the act, process, or result of moving.
If I say movement, you would think of an object moving from one place to another, including breaking through a wall. However, many other actions are considered movement too, such as singing, dancing, playing, and whatever the heck that is. You might ask why a plant would be considered living when it cannot move. However, some flowers will turn their head to face the sun, allowing them to gather light as a source of energy. We chose this as an attribute because it is the reason that we can get the necessities needed to live. And without it, many things would not have happened, such as this project. There are some people who may ask a question such as, what about trains? After all, they can move too. Our answer to this is that we cannot judge a thing if it is alive or not, just by one attribute. Many things share a few of the listed attributes, but in order to give a correct judgment, we need to possess them all.
The next attribute of life is response. Response is an answer or reply, as in words or in some action. Without response, the idea of movement would be quite similar to walking blind. We would not notice our surroundings or recognize the thing we left for. This would be a problem because no matter how hard we try, we would not be able to respond to nearby objects, and it would not turn out well. Non-living thing, on the other hand, would not respond. So this is why the attribute is not only a part of life, but is necessary in order to maintain body functions. Response is also important because of its role in all of the other attributes. Metabolism is the sum of physical and chemical processes in an organism by which its material substance is produced, maintained, and destroyed, and by which energy is made available. In short, metabolism is the process of eating, digesting, and pooping. For animals, metabolism allows them to digest and transport all of their eaten substance into their cells. For plants, they use the energy from the sun to make their food through photosynthesis. The light from the sun will hit the plant, goes into the plant cells, and goes on to the chloroplast, which converts the light into energy. Without metabolism, living organism would not be able to gather energy or obtain nutrients.
The next word is organization, which is the activity of organizing. In a cell, there are thousands of different processes happening at the same time, and scientists have only scraped the surface as to what each individual cell does. The one process that best describes what we mean by organization is the transport of proteins from the rough endoplasmic reticulum to the outside of a cell. In this process, a protein molecule travels to the end of the lumen in the rough endoplasmic reticulum, where it is pinched off into a vesicle. This vesicle transports the protein to the Golgi apparatus, where it is stored or modified. After the storage or modification process has been finished, the protein moves down the lumen of the Golgi apparatus. This is where it is pinched off into another vesicle. This vesicle transports the protein to the membrane of the cell. The vesicle now attaches to the membrane of the cell, and over time it releases the protein to the outside of the cell. This process is for producing and transporting proteins. For living organisms, cells work together because of organization, which makes life possible.
Growth is important in the definition of life. Growth is the act or process or a manner of growing. It is the process in which an organism takes until it is at its peak operating level.
An easy way to look at growth is through the life of a carrot. At first, the carrot just starts out as a tiny seed. It has only one goal, which is to grow. It does this by first sprouting small leaves. The purpose of these leaves is to absorb the sun's rays and turn them into nutrients. The next stage is the storage of nutrients. It does this by expanding the taproot, or the orange part of the carrot. This part of the carrot stores all of the energy in the form of carbohydrates. All non-living things will never go through the process of growth. Growth is important to life because it allows organisms to gain space to store excess energy and to develop more complex systems. Homeostasis is another defining part in life. Homeostasis is the process of keeping a peak operating level. We decided to describe this by creating a tumbler. To make a tumbler, we put Play-Doh in half of a ping pong ball. By doing this, there is a heavy point to one side of the ball. The heavy side of the ball holds the current position of the ball. By doing this, if we push the ball, it rolls itself in order to regain its previous balance point. No matter how hard you push it. Like the tumbler, homeostatic mechanisms will adjust a system in a living organism to put itself in a proper living condition. We have chosen homeostasis as one of our attributes because it will adjust an organism's systems in order to put it at its peak operating level. This is critical in some systems because in order for some processes to occur, an organism needs to have a specific balance.
Of our chosen attributes is reproduction. Reproduction is the process of making a copy, representation, duplicate, or close imitation. The process of reproduction will be easily described with cells. When a cell comes to a mature state, it begins to divide. It does this by first dividing its nucleus. After the nucleus has divided, each nuclei moves to either side of the cell. After the nuclei have chosen sides, the cell begins to divide. Tugging from both sides of the membranes causes the cell to slowly pull itself into two. Now that there are two cells, they will each go through this process over and over until we have a large amount of like cells.
This attribute is important because without it, life would not be able to continue after the original organism dies.
So in conclusion to this project, we would like to say one more thing. The role of each attribute helps the other to work.
Movement is the reason response, metabolism, organization, growth, homeostasis, and reproduction can occur. And it is likewise for all the other attributes. In some way, they all give each other an assisted life in one organism.